Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus made the disciples get into a boat and precede him to the other side of the lake, while he dismissed the crowds. After doing so, he went up on a mountain to pray by himself. When it was evening, he was there alone. Meanwhile, the boat, already a few miles offshore, was being tossed about by the waves, for the wind was against it. During the fourth watch of the night, Jesus came toward them walking on the sea. When the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified. "It is a ghost," they said, and they cried out in fear. At once Jesus spoke to them, "Take courage, it is I. Do not be afraid." Peter said to him in reply, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." Jesus said, "Come." Peter got out of the boat and began to walk on the water toward Jesus. But when he saw how strong the wind was, he became frightened and began to sink, and cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him, and said to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" After they got into the boat, the wind died down. Those who were in the boat did homage, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." After making the crossing, they came to land at Gennesaret. And when the men of that place recognized him, they sent word to all the surrounding country. People brought to him all those who were sick, and he begged him that they might touch only the tassel on his cloak. And as many as touched it were healed. The Gospel of the Lord. First, let me finish that story in the first reading about Moses' sister Miriam, who was cast with this leprosy because she rebelled against the leadership of Moses. As the story goes on, it says in the scriptures that she had to live outside the camp for about 7 days until this leprosy or skin disease was healed, and then she came back. But she never doubted the leadership of Moses after that. Regarding the gospel, those who study scripture all their life believe that this story of Jesus walking on the water may really have been written after the resurrection to encourage the young church which are suffering so many persecutions and hardships. For instance, when Jesus and his disciples moved from one side of the lake to another, it's more of a virtual movement of spiritual space rather than a physical movement from one place to another. Jesus sent the apostles on alone, knowing that they could not reach this other space without him, and they needed another step in faith, another stage of what it meant to be church after the resurrection of Jesus. When they saw him, as they struggled against the winds, they thought he was a ghost, but he tried to call them to faith. "Do not be afraid," he told them. "Take courage." In other words, he was near them. He was with them, as he said he would be. Peter, the leader he had appointed, responded, but when Jesus invited him to come to walk on the waters, he tried to walk, but he lost his faith to fear. Jesus had to help him and the others reach the other side. "Oh, you of little faith," Jesus said, "why did you doubt?" Then, with Jesus in the boat and the wind died down, they could say, "Truly, you are the Son of God." This was a phrase that was used mainly after the resurrection, when Jesus had passed from the stormy side of crucifixion and death to the peaceful side of his rising from the dead. Then, with Jesus with them on the shore, the people recognized him and the healing continued. Matthew was telling his young church in their turmoil and telling us in ours that we should not fear. The mission of Jesus continues through the fishermen he had appointed. As they weather the stormy seas, they will come to a time of peace if they have faith, and if we have faith in Jesus. That's the simple and the basic truth of the gospel this morning. In the Eucharist, Jesus wonderfully climbs into the boat of each one of us to help us weather our storms as he comes to us so personally in communion. It just takes that same kind of faith for us that he asked of Peter.